Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
Mercedes-Benz is a car company known for luxury and high value today. It is one of the oldest and most respected car makers in the world, worth many billions of dollars. These cars are often seen as a symbol of success and quality. But it is important to remember that the company did not start with this rich image. Its early days were quite humble and simple. The journey of Mercedes-Benz began with a man called Karl Benz. He was an engineer with little money but a big idea. His dream was to create a horseless carriage, a vehicle that could move without animals. Many people did not believe in his vision. He faced many problems and failures as he tried to make his dream real. Yet, Karl Benz continued to work hard. He eventually proved everyone wrong. His small business grew into the world's first large car-making company in the late 1800s. He truly helped bring cars into our world. Karl Benz's story is one of great success against many odds. However, the history of Mercedes-Benz also includes a very challenging and dark period. During a difficult time, the company provided military vehicles for a specific regime. It also used forced workers in its factories. This book will explore the full story of Mercedes-Benz, from the quiet start of one man's dream to its global fame, including both its triumphs and its surprising challenges. 2. A Poor Boy's Dream. Karl Benz was born in November 1844 in Mühlberg, a town in Germany. His family was not rich. His father worked as a locomotive driver, but his small earnings were barely enough for the family to live on. A sad event happened when Karl was only 2 years old. His father died. This left Karl and his mother in great financial difficulty. Karl's childhood was hard. They lived in poverty, and he often went to bed hungry. Despite these struggles, his mother was very determined. She wanted her son to have a good future, so she made sure he received a good education. Thanks to her efforts, Karl could go to school. Even at a young age, he showed a special talent for learning, especially in chemistry and mechanics. When he was 15, Karl decided to study mechanical engineering at the University of Karlsruhe. This was the same path his father had taken. At the university, he met a very important teacher named Ferdinand Rettenbacher. Professor Rettenbacher was a key person in the field of mechanical engineering in Germany. He believed that steam engines, which were common at the time for trains and boats, would soon be old technology. He looked to the future. Under his teacher's influence, Karl's interest in creating a horseless carriage grew strong. Karl often rode his bicycle. He started to experiment with it, trying to imagine how he could add an engine to create a vehicle that moved by itself. Many other inventors had tried to make a car, but their early designs were not very practical. Karl noticed that most of these older vehicles used steam engine technology. With Professor Rettenbacher's guidance, Karl understood that a new idea was needed. He knew he had to invent something completely different. Many people did not understand Karl's ideas and even laughed at him. But Karl always believed his dream was possible. He just needed more time to work on it and prove his vision to the world. He graduated from the university at 19, ready to chase his dream. 3. Early struggles. After finishing university at 19, Karl Benz spent 7 difficult years working various jobs. He worked in engineering and construction, but found it hard to settle. He used his knowledge to start his own company in 1871, at age 27. Karl partnered with August Ritter, a mechanic. They opened an iron foundry and mechanical workshop in Mannheim. Karl continued his side project to develop a motorized carriage. However, Ritter was an unreliable partner. Their company faced many problems, and local authorities even took some of their tools. The business struggled greatly in its first year. Luckily, Karl had met Bertha Ringer. She came from a wealthy family and later became his wife. Bertha saw Karl's efforts being wasted. She used her own money, called a dowry, to buy Ritter's share of the company. This gave Karl and Bertha full control. Together, they worked hard to keep the business running for the next 10 years. During these challenging years, Karl's genius truly shone. He made big discoveries. Most importantly, he developed a gasoline 2-stroke engine in 1879. He also patented many inventions. These included his engine speed control system, a battery ignition system, the spark plug, carburetor, clutch, gear shift, and water radiator. These designs brought him closer to his dream and allowed his business to sell more products. However, the company faced high production costs for Karl's inventions. Banks required the company to become a larger corporation. This forced Karl to bring in other investors. In 1882, his business became a joint stock company. Karl lost most of his control. He was left with only 5% of the company's shares and lost his important position. His ideas were no longer valued when new products were designed. Feeling frustrated and hurt, Karl Benz left the company he had founded the following year. 4. A new company. After leaving his first company, Karl Benz was very determined. His interest in bicycles led him to Max Rose and Friedrich Wilhelm. These two men owned a bicycle repair shop in Mannheim. Together, they started a new business called Benz & C. They planned to build industrial machines and gas engines. This new company started well and became profitable quickly. Money came in steadily, and the business grew to employ 25 people. With a steady income, Karl could finally focus on his big dream, creating an automobile. He did not just add an engine to an old carriage. Instead, Karl designed the entire vehicle around the motor. He used ideas similar to bicycle technology. In 1885, he built what many now call the first true automobile. He named it the Benz Patent Motor Wagon. This vehicle had 2 seats and 3 wire wheels, like a tricycle. It used a gasoline 4-stroke engine. The engine had 1 cylinder and made about 2/3 of a horsepower. The car could reach speeds of around 7 miles per hour. Karl knew this was a revolutionary invention. After testing, he showed his car to the public in the summer of 1886. People had mixed feelings. Some admired it, but many were unsure. They feared the car might explode and did not want him driving on main streets. Some even thought Karl was the devil, driving a strange machine. Karl's business partners were also worried. His focus on the automobile took him away from their work. They questioned its usefulness. "Why buy this machine?" they asked. "It's no faster than a horse. It can break down easily, and it uses fuel." Despite their doubts, Karl Benz believed his horseless carriage was the future. In 1888, he started selling his cars, being the first person to do so. His wife, Bertha, strongly supported him, often helping and suggesting ideas. But even with improvements, many people did not understand Karl's vision. The few cars sold were very expensive, noisy, and messy. They could only travel short distances and often needed a mechanic. Karl needed to prove his invention's importance. 5. A famous trip. Bertha Benz, Karl's wife, saw that his new car, the Benz patent motor wagon, was not well received. People were scared and doubtful. Karl's business partners did not see a future for it. Bertha knew she needed to show the world the car's true potential. One early morning in August 1888, while Karl was still asleep, Bertha made a brave decision. She quietly took the three-wheeled car. With her two young sons, Eugen and Richard, she began a secret journey. Her goal was to visit her mother in Pforzheim, a town 66 miles away from their home in Mannheim. She did not tell Karl or the police about her plan. She feared they would stop her, as no car had ever traveled such a long distance before. She was determined to prove the car's ability. Bertha's long trip was very difficult and full of challenges. The roads were not smooth. They were dusty, stony, and rough, made for horse carriages. The small car struggled often. Bertha had to be clever and fix problems herself. When the fuel pipe got blocked, she used her long hat pin to clear it. When a driving belt broke, she used a piece of her garter to repair it. The car also needed fuel, which was hard to find. Bertha stopped at a pharmacy in Wieslach to buy Ligroin, a type of petrol. This place became the world's first fuel station. The entire 66-mile journey took Bertha and her sons over 12 difficult hours. But in the end, they all arrived safely at her mother's house in Pforzheim. Bertha's daring journey became a big story. News of the horseless carriage traveling so far spread quickly through Germany. People were astonished. The trip showed everyone that the automobile was not just a strange toy. It was a reliable way to travel long distances. This event gave Karl Benz and his company, Benz & C, fantastic free advertising. More people became interested in buying a car. The business grew fast. By 1890, Benz & C had become Germany's second-largest manufacturer of engines. With new business partners, Friedrich von Fehr and Julius Ganz, handling sales and marketing, Karl Benz could focus more on developing new car designs and technologies. Karl Benz continued to innovate. He patented many new parts, including a better gear system and improved steering. He then designed a new and more comfortable car, the Benz Victoria, for 2 passengers reaching 11 miles per hour. The Victoria sold well. However, his next car, the Benz Velo, became a huge success. The Velo was a simpler and cheaper car, making it more affordable. About 1,200 units of the Benz Velo were produced, making it the world's first mass-produced car. Thanks to this, Benz and C became the largest automobile company in the world during the 1890s and early 1900s. Karl Benz's dream was now a reality, thanks in large part to his brave wife, Bertha. 6. A big rival. While Benz and C was growing, a new strong competitor appeared. This was the Daimler Company, led by Gottlieb Daimler and Wilhelm Maybach. Both men were very smart engineers. Gottlieb Daimler was known for being competitive. He also understood business very well, which Karl Benz sometimes lacked. Daimler's first car for sale came out in 1892. Soon after, they made cars with 2 cylinders. By 1897, Daimler introduced their first front-engine car, the Phoenix. It was clear that Daimler was catching up to Benz. Their cars looked more modern and were more comfortable for people to use. Then, in 1900, Gottlieb Daimler passed away. Wilhelm Maybach then led the company. In 1901, Maybach designed a very special car, the Mercedes 35 horsepower. This car was important because it was the first to look like modern cars. It had a strong gas engine, a wider body, and a low center of mass. A rich businessman named Emil Jelinek asked for this car to be built and named it after his daughter, Mercedes. This car won many races and reached a speed of 56 miles per hour. It was faster than any other car of its time. The Daimler Company became very famous, and they started to call all their cars Mercedes. Karl Benz's company felt great pressure. His partners wanted to build faster cars to compete. They even brought in French designers to help, but Karl Benz did not like this. He was angry. Karl never liked car racing or driving fast. He thought it was dangerous and noisy to drive at high speeds on public roads. The first racing cars built by his team were not successful. This caused problems for Benz and C between 1903 and 1904. Karl was very disappointed and even left his company, but he stayed on its board of directors. Finally, Karl agreed to let his cars race. Their successes in racing saved the company. By 1908, Benz had a very fast 120 horsepower race car. It could go 50 miles per hour on long trips, which was amazing then. In 1909, the 200 horsepower Blitzen-Benz race car broke the world speed record for any vehicle. It reached over 140 miles per hour in 1911. This made Benz cars as desired as Daimler's. Both companies sold many cars in the years that followed. 7. A dark time. Germany faced serious economic problems after World War I. Both Benz and Daimler companies struggled greatly during this time. To survive, these old rivals put their differences aside. In 1924, they signed an agreement to work together on production and sales. This helped them save money. However, the German economy got even worse. So, in 1926, the two companies had to fully merge. They created a new company called Daimler-Benz. Under this new name, vehicles were rebranded as Mercedes-Benz. Daimler-Benz released several new car models in the late 1920s. Karl Benz stayed on the board of directors. He lived to see his dream of the automobile become a global success. Karl Benz passed away in April 1929 at the age of 84. Soon after Karl Benz's death, a dark chapter began. In 1933, Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party came to power in Germany. Hitler wanted to show the world how good German engineering and technology were. He saw cars as a way to do this. Daimler-Benz received a lot of money to take part in Grand Prix races. From 1934 to 1939, Mercedes cars were very successful on the racetracks, reaching speeds of over 200 miles per hour. However, when World War II started in 1939, the company's focus changed completely. Daimler-Benz stopped making cars for everyday people. Instead, they began to produce military vehicles, submarines, tanks, and aircraft engines for the Nazi military. Military trucks were a very important product, carrying heavy supplies for the war. By 1942, all of the company's resources were used only for the war effort. As the war continued, even more workers were needed for the increased production of war materials. Many German men were away fighting. So, Daimler-Benz used forced laborers. These were prisoners of war, civilians taken from their homes, and people from concentration camps. They were forced to work long hours in factories located near the camps. These workers often lived in very bad, prison-like conditions. They had little food and faced cruel treatment. Many of them, especially those from Eastern Europe, died from hunger, mistreatment, or torture. By 1944, almost half of Daimler-Benz's 63,000 employees were forced laborers. This time was a truly dark period in the company's history. 8. A new start. World War II ended in 1945, leaving Daimler-Benz in a very bad state. Its large factories were heavily bombed and damaged. The company also lost all its businesses and money in other countries. It was a time for the company to truly start anew, from almost nothing. The rebuilding process was long and hard. First, Daimler-Benz had to go through denazification. This meant removing any Nazi links and people from its top management. After these important changes, the American occupation authorities gave the company permission to start production again in 1946. Even with its factories greatly damaged, Mercedes-Benz had one advantage. It still owned its plants. Many other German car makers were not so lucky. At the start, the company focused on making useful vehicles. These included ambulances, police patrol cars, and delivery vans based on their 170 V models. One factory even became a repair place for U.S. military vehicles. Slowly, the company began to make passenger cars again. In 1947, only 1,045 of the 170 V models were produced. But even with these difficult conditions, Daimler-Benz managed to make a profit just 1 year later. This was a clear sign of its strong will to recover. The 1950s saw a remarkable comeback for Mercedes-Benz. The company quickly regained its strong position and influence. Mercedes-Benz cars were once again famous for their quality and luxury. They made a strong return to motorsports, winning many races. Sales grew all over the world. By 1954, the company had earned over $1 billion. This incredible journey shows how a company can rise from ruins. It highlights the path from Karl Benz's humble workshop and revolutionary dream to becoming a global symbol of engineering excellence. What part of Mercedes-Benz's history do you find most inspiring?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.